The rejection email hadn't even arrived yet, but Arvind Kale felt it in his bones as he stepped out of the towering glass building and into the bright afternoon sun. The city bustled around him, cars honking, vendors shouting, sunlight flashing against skyscraper windows, but everything felt strangely silent inside his chest. He had just failed the most important interview of his life. In his hand, he clutched a thin, worn folder that carried his resume, now slightly crumpled at the edges from being held too tightly. For a moment, he stood on the marble steps, staring at the pavement as if it might open up and swallow his disappointment. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, Kindness Journal. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the most beautiful miracles begin with heartbreak. Arvind adjusted the strap of his old leather bag and began walking down the steps slowly. The interview had lasted less than 20 minutes. He had seen it in their eyes, the polite smiles, the subtle glances at the clock. A single father with a 3-year employment gap didn't make an impressive candidate, no matter how sincere his answers were. They had thanked him for his time, and he had thanked them for the opportunity, though his voice had trembled slightly at the end. As he reached the sidewalk, his phone buzzed. It was a photo notification from home. His 8-year-old daughter, Meher, had sent him a picture through his neighbor's phone. In the photo, she stood in her school uniform, holding a handmade cardboard sign that read, "Good luck Papa," with bright crayon hearts drawn all around the words. Her smile was missing a front tooth, and her ponytail was slightly crooked, just the way he had tied it that morning in a rush. Arvind felt his throat tighten. He remembered the early mornings when he would wake before sunrise to cook her breakfast, braid her hair after watching online tutorials, and pack her lunch with careful precision. Since his wife had passed away 4 years ago after a sudden illness, it had been just the two of them against the world. He had quit his stable job back then to care for Meher during the hardest months, believing he would find another opportunity soon. But life had not been generous. Interviews came and went. Bills piled up. Savings dwindled. Still, he never let Meher see his fear. To her, he was a superhero who could fix broken toys, make perfect pancakes, and chase away nightmares. He slipped his phone back into his pocket and inhaled deeply. The sun was high, casting sharp shadows on the pavement. Office workers hurried past him, laughing and chatting about lunch plans. Arvind felt invisible among them. He had prepared for weeks for this interview with Orion Global Enterprises, one of the biggest firms in the city. He had rehearsed answers late at night after Meher fell asleep, whispering them into the darkness. He had ironed his only formal shirt 3 times that morning to make sure it looked crisp. And yet, it hadn't been enough. Inside the building, in a corner office overlooking the city, Billionaire CEO Viraj Malhotra stood by the window, watching the small figure descend the steps. Viraj had sat quietly at the end of the long conference table during the interview, observing more than speaking. He had noticed the slight tremor in Arvind's hands, the careful way he chose his words, and the honesty in his eyes when he spoke about the employment gap. While the other panelists saw a risk, Viraj had seen something else, a man who had sacrificed ambition for love. Viraj turned away from the window abruptly. He thought of his own childhood, of a father who had missed every school play and birthday dinner in pursuit of wealth. Success had filled their house with luxury but emptied it of warmth. Watching Arvind walk away, shoulders slightly slumped yet dignity intact, stirred something Viraj had long buried under board meetings and billion-dollar deals. Without another word, Viraj grabbed his suit jacket and hurried out of his office. The elevator ride felt unbearably slow. For the first time in years, a business decision felt personal. Outside, Arvind had reached the corner of the street. He was calculating bus fare in his mind, wondering if he could skip lunch to save a few extra coins. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him, quick and determined. He turned, startled, as a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit approached him, slightly out of breath. It took Arvind a second to recognize him without the long conference table between them. The CEO himself was standing right there on the sidewalk, the afternoon sun glinting off his watch. Viraj didn't waste time. He told Arvind that the panel believed he lacked recent corporate experience, that on paper he wasn't the strongest candidate. But leadership wasn't always about uninterrupted careers and polished answers. Sometimes it was about resilience. Sometimes it was about character. Viraj explained that Orion was launching a new community outreach division, one focused on supporting working parents within the company. He wanted someone who truly understood those struggles, someone who had lived them. Arvind listened, stunned, as the city noise seemed to fade once again, this time replaced not by despair but by disbelief. Viraj offered him a position, not the one he had interviewed for, but one crafted specifically around empathy, flexibility, and human connection. It came with a fair salary, health benefits, and something Arvind hadn't dared to hope for, stability. For a moment, Arvind couldn't speak. His eyes filled with tears. He tried unsuccessfully to blink away. In the middle of the bustling sidewalk, surrounded by strangers, he felt the weight of years of silent struggle lifting from his shoulders. He thought of Meher's cardboard sign, of her missing tooth smile, of the nights he lay awake worrying about rent. He thought of how close he had come to giving up on himself. The afternoon sun felt warmer now, softer somehow. Arvind finally nodded, gratitude written across his face in a way words could never fully capture. Viraj extended his hand, but what passed between them was more than a formal handshake. It was a recognition of shared humanity, one man choosing to see beyond a resume, and another refusing to let hardship harden his heart. That evening, when Arvind returned home, Meher ran into his arms before he even had a chance to put down his bag. He lifted her high, laughing through tears, telling her that her good luck sign had worked. In their small apartment, with peeling paint and a flickering tube light, hope bloomed brighter than any chandelier in Orion's headquarters. Viraj, back in his glass tower, watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. For the first time in years, a business decision felt like redemption. Sometimes, failure is not the end of the road but the turn that leads you exactly where you were meant to be. Sometimes, the world tests how badly you want to keep going. And sometimes, when you walk away thinking it's over, someone runs after you, not because you were perfect, but because you were brave. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and comment below. Your support helps spread stories of hope and second chances to more people who might need them today. Special request, comment the word "believe" if you think kindness can still change someone's destiny. And remember, the next time life closes a door on you in broad daylight, don't lose faith. You never know who might be watching from the window, ready to run after you and change your story forever.